brothers and sisters. And to take us further, we have our brother here in the city again who has been authorized to administer a message today from the local representative of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, Minister Muhammad Muhammad. Our brother is an educator, a researcher, a beekeeper. You know, bees, they do research too, there. They go out to various flowers and they collect pollen, right? Well, why do they collect that pollen? They collect it so that they can take it back to the hive and they can produce something that's a healing to mankind and man. Is that right? Well, our brother has done that very thing in this message that he has prepared for us to hear. So please receive our brother, Ilia Rashad Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. Let us begin. In the most holy name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, the all-wise, true, and living God who has intervened in our affairs. We thank God for all of his prophets and messengers and the scriptures that they brought. As Muslims, we thank God for Moses and the Old Testament prophets and the Torah, or the scriptures that they brought. We certainly thank God for Jesus and the Gospels. And of course, as Muslims, we thank God for Prophet Muhammad and the revelation of the Holy Quran. Peace be upon all of these worthy servants of God. But we are in the year 2022, and we would be remiss, we would literally be in error if we did not thank God for his intervention in our affairs, because just as God intervened in the affairs of those in the past, in the days of Moses, we preach about what God did back then. He did this when Jesus was here. He did this when Muhammad was here. Well, what about today? So we are thankful for the true and living God who still has juice today, who has come for his people in person. So we thank God for coming in the person of Master Fatherhood Muhammad, just as the scripture says that he would. And the scriptures also predict that upon God's coming, he would raise one who would be that messianic figure, that Messiah type figure that the world literally has been awaiting. But the world has its own ideas about this messianic one, to the point where they missed the one when he came. That one I speak of is the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. And since the world, for the most part, overlooked the majesty of this man, Elijah Muhammad, God in his wisdom, God in his love, has continued that truth, that wisdom, that guidance, and that love in the personage of his national representative. I'm talking about the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Brothers and sisters, with that being said and with that in mind, let me greet you with the greeting words of peace. We say it in the Arabic language, which simply means peace be unto you. Assalamu alaikum. And I certainly want to thank you all for being with us this day that is considered Father's Day. So many of you certain probably have plans. So I don't want to keep you long. Some of you have plans with your fathers or your uncles or your families or whatnot. But I want to thank you for coming. And won't you give yourselves a round of applause for making it out today? Thank you. Thank you. Our topic today is the threat of Black fatherhood. What? Who was it a threat to? Naturally, you wouldn't think that Black fatherhood, as much as it is needed in our communities, you, as the people of God, you would not think that's a threat. And it's not a threat to you. However, to the satanic powers that run this world, to the white power structure, the manhood of Black males, the fatherhood, the discipline, the manhood, just to put it in short, of Black men is a direct threat to this world of white supremacy. Now, we want to show you some of that and also incorporate and show us the value of black fathers. And I think I'm going to be brief today because normally I have a problem of taking too long. So I'm going to go through. Look at Sister Edna talking about, yes, you do. She the main one. As soon as 12 o'clock get here, if you ain't off this roster, you see Sister Edna. And she been doing it for 20 years, y'all. But that's good because a reminder really is a blessing. Now, even though I'm going to go through this talk, and I might be going a little fast, naturally we have slides available. So if I don't get to go over some of the information, feel free to do snapshots of some of the slides, because in some of those slides are some references, some citations that can lead you to further research. In starting off this talk, I want to share words from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, because this topic about fatherhood and the threat of black fatherhood has a direct bearing on the threat or the sanctity of black families. To make sure I put my little mic on. I didn't turn my mic on. There we go. So with this quote from the Honorable Minister Farrakhan, he shares these words: if you can break up family, you break up the very core that feeds human value into a child. So family is just that essential in the building, not just of a family or even a community, but at the root of world is family. Because the family unit is the cornerstone of worlds. We'll say that again now. When you get to the root and the cornerstone of worlds and communities, you have to deal with family. So the minister states that if you can break up family, then you break up the very core that feeds our children, that develops our children who are going to be the leaders of the new world to come. So this family unit thing and the roles thereof. When I say roles, I'm talking about the functions thereof. The father function, the mother function, the child, the family, brother, sister function. These are all functions really like posts. And we should know how to take charge of our posts and all property in view. So the minister gives us insight into the root of what builds worlds, and at the core of that is family. But you know, we are so confused today. The world has become so confused today that Almighty God, Allah, literally has to remind us in almost oversimplistic terms about some of our natural functions. Now, this brief excerpt from the Holy Quran, God tells us, and this may seem super simple, God tells us, y'all ready? And the male is not like the female. Now, as simple as that is, that's also super deep. So why would God, in his infinite wisdom, have to remind us and have to remind humanity that the male is not like the female and the female is not like the male? Obviously, the world has been extremely confused to the point where we don't even know some of these basic functions. So God wants to put us back into our right mind so that our family structures can be put back in place. And let me just say this too in regard to family structure. The reason this is so important, and most of us don't look at it this way, sometimes when we look at family, we look at it in the beautiful, lovey-dovey, emotional sense of the family. Oh, I love my wife and my husband and my mom and my dad and brother and sister. And of course, that's central to family. But what many of us don't know is that family and the structure of family is actually a military strategy of God. Say, come on, Brother Muhammad, you tripping. No. See, you have to understand that there is a war taking place against family. There is a war against fatherhood and motherhood. And this war is taking place in the highest echelons of government. If we read the scriptures, Bible and Quran, with some reason, the scriptures show us all throughout how Satan's plan has been to destroy family. It's a military tactic, y'all. And God has set up a military type structure with family. In military, you have generals, you have officers, you have lieutenants, and everybody has functions, right? And those functions have both internal functions as well as external functions. How to act and do things at home and abroad outside of the home. Military. But we don't look at it like that. You know, we often look at it with the, oh. So if we don't see the military aspect of God and the divine order of family, then we fall victim to it. And unfortunately, family, especially the black family, has fallen victim to Satan's plans. So the male is not even like the female. And the female is not like the male. God is reminding us that we have different natures. We have the same overall nature, but we have different natures that are totally different, but are meant to complement each other. And part of the life's goal is for man and woman to struggle. Key word, struggle, to find those balances, to work with one another, to see how those different natures complement one another. That's part of what the struggle of marriage and family is. It's not an overnight thing that you, oh, I got it, I love you, you love me. No, it don't work like that. It's literally a struggle of training. But we are so confused today. We've become so twisted by Satan's plan that now God has to remind us, you know you got a different nature than this fella here. And you know you have a different nature than this sister over here. I had that picture right there because that's a transgender person who was once a male and now a female, and she is now dominating in the track on the women's. Now when it was a he couldn't beat the men's NCAA track records, but he is now a she, and now she is dominating, leaving all the other women behind. Oh, I think we have to talk about some stuff like this. That's real. It's real. And it's not to throw off on anyone, but it is to remind us that there is a war taking place against us. And that war against us is taking place on all levels. Miseducation, on the political level, on the biogenetic level, the chemical, the diet, the foods that we eat. You would think we are like some conspiracy theorists by the way we talk sometimes, but if you actually do the research, and I'm talking to smart people here, you will find that in every aspect of human endeavor, in every major discipline and industry, at the root of all of that, it is literally, and don't take this lightly, to keep black folks down. No, that's true. See, now again, I don't want you thinking, oh, here they go with that conspiracy stuff. See the white man trying to keep a brother down. No, no. When you get to the root, it is so true. We don't have time to get into all of that right now, but we want to deal with this thing, dealing with the core of family. You know, the scriptures give us a good picture. And it would be good if preachers knew how to preach like this, because when we read scriptures, we in the Nation of Islam understand that we are not reading about history. But the scriptures give us insight into things going on today, even though it uses language from way back then, but it gives us prophetic meaning prophecy into the future, gives us insight as to what's taking place today using beautiful language of back then. This is a scripture from Genesis wherein it reads, "Before any plant of the field was in the earth, and before any herb of the field had grown, for the Lord God has caused it to rain on the earth." And here's the part I want you to look at. "And there was no man to till the ground." Now, based on this, it seems like, okay, it must be talking about like some garden scenery. God is about to build a world and whatnot, and there's some scenery and land or something, and maybe the land is unkept. Why? Because there's no man to till the ground. No man is present to cultivate the land. No man is present to give order to the land. No man is present to give structure and even manicure and care for the land, which is indicative of society today. When we see things in society just out of order, it is indicative that no real man seems to be present. Because if real men were truly present, we wouldn't see the number of damn rapes taking place of 1 out of every 6 women every damn day. Hello, somebody. If real men was present, I didn't say males, but obviously God looked around and saw a condition and said to himself, apparently there's no man to till the ground. If men were truly present in the community as we should be, we wouldn't see as much crime taking place, with so many of our young ones especially feeling like they have to handle stuff just by going shooting somebody over a damn disagreement. That's not indicative of a man. Do you agree with me? So it was a scene that apparently there was no man to till the ground, which is kind of why God eventually said, well, hell, let us make man. So eventually a man has to be made. Because unless a man is made in the image and likeness of God, notice that's the key point. A man has to be made in the image and likeness of God, then and only then can real order come to this world. Does that make sense to you? All praise is due to Allah. Now, what we have to understand, and this is hard for everybody, brothers and sisters, we have to recognize that there is a divine order to how this thing is supposed to be set up. Whether you think it's old-fashioned, whether you think it's traditional, and whether you think it's outdated. See, remember, we don't see the military prowess of God. You don't see the military. We down here looking on some civilian levels, and we don't see how God is looking at things from the top general military aspect to protect you and me from Satan's world. So he set up a structure. And in order to set up a structure like in any military, we have to have some respect for authority. You see, because we as a people have been so misused and abused by those in authority, then we almost rightfully don't respect authority. You know what I mean? I mean, look how authority has been used against us, whether it's the police, whether it's in the school, whether it's in the home, parents not parenting right. So we have to, have the right type of respect for the right authority. But because we have been abused by authority, we ain't trying to hear that. But I heard the Honorable Minister Farrakhan put it something like this. He said, whoever is the author of something has some authority over how you should govern that thing. That's why you get the word authority. Well, if God is the author of our lives, certainly he has some authority over how we should govern our lives. Make sense? Look, if Mr. Apple, the computer, I'm personifying it, if Mr. Apple made the Apple computer, he is the author of this, and therefore he has some authority over how we should use an Apple computer. So we have to follow the manual as to go about using the Apple computer. Do not include certain apps. Certain apps you use, certain apps you stay away from, because if you use some of these forbidden apps, it may cause bugs, and now your computer will malfunction because you did not follow the authority. Huh? So we have to understand that there is some type of divine order. If you are from a Christian perspective, and the Bible, it reads something like this in Corinthians, it says, but I want you to know that the head of every man is Christ. So you got this hierarchy. Over the man, you have this Christ figure. And over Christ is God, right? The head of woman is man. Uh-oh. Here now. I'm a boss. You like I did that, Sister Dawn? Look, but look at this. The head of woman is man. Now look, there's a pretext to that now. It didn't say just any man. This is talking about a man where Christ is his head. He's following Christ. Not just in words. Because look, men, we can talk some good stuff now. You know, baby, I was just reading my Bible the other day, and Lord was telling me that I think we belong together, you know what I'm saying? And see, we can talk some stuff now. Am I lying, brothers? Ain't nobody smoother than this dude. Look. But I want you to know that the head of every man is Christ. The head of woman is man, and the head of Christ is God. So there is a certain military structure, if you will, a structure that is meant for our benefit, not for our demise. And just as I said that it's difficult for us as a people to follow authority because of how we've been abused by authority and misused by authority, likewise, it is damn near impossible for the black woman to submit to a black man in this day and time, because ain't nobody been burnt like a sister. Can I get a hello or something? Look, this was real now. We always say that the most unprotected species on the planet is the black woman, because she, in her loving heart, sometime in her life has given herself and her love to some man only for that love to be misused. So when you hear this, it's like, oh, I mean, I love the Lord and stuff, but I ain't trying to follow that. I can do bad by myself. That's just real. That's because the order has been broken up. We've been disattached from the source, disattached from the God. So now, even in the Holy Quran, it says the same thing. It talks about the same order. It just says it in a different way. In the Holy Quran, Allah tells us that men are the maintainers of women. With what Allah has made some of them to excel others, and with what they spend out of their wealth. But by and large, men are supposed to be the maintainers of women. That word maintainers comes from the Arabic word, why do I always forget it? Kawama? It's an Arabic root, and the root of that verb means a whole lot. It means to maintain, to protect, to manage, to guide, all of that. So this responsibility is placed on the man, not just for his particular wife, but even the women in the community. Men have to be the maintainers and protectors of the women. We're talking about fatherhood, right? So the good women are obedient, guarding the unseen as Allah has guarded. So the good women are obedient, it doesn't say necessarily to a man, even though it kind of implies that, but it implies that you are obedient to Allah, who might be working through a man. Huh? We're trying to get back into our right mind and get right back into our divine order. We're talking about a threat to fatherhood. So if men are the maintainers of women and the maintainers and protectors have been destroyed, then who's maintaining you? If the black man has been strategically destroyed, how the hell is he going to maintain women? So that's a serious dilemma, isn't it? And in truth, how can women confidently look up to the men when the men have been destroyed and seemingly aren't in the position to maintain as their nature dictates they should? That's one heck of a dilemma, isn't it? So now on both sides, you see man and woman kind of messed up. Women disappointed in their men, men disappointed that they're not living up to their potential that they know they have, which is why so many men go into other stuff, man, because look, man, this world, this ain't, look, I'll maintain another way. So we see where that order has been messed up. And this is why this is so important when you're dealing with fatherhood, because with the destruction of black manhood and fatherhood, it brings down the world, it corrupts the family military structure, and therefore you can corrupt the whole world through family. The most honorable Elijah Muhammad is known for this very famous saying. He says that when you teach a man, you teach an individual. But when you teach a woman, you teach a nation. What does that suggest? It suggests something about roles, functions, and value. Now, you remember Brother Mudakir, our minister, I think it was last week, was sharing how the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that 75% of the work in the Nation of Islam is with who? The woman. Now, from the outside looking in, it seemed like the Nation of Islam all about the men, right? You see the men out front. So only 25% deals with the man, and 75% of the Nation of Islam work is with the woman. 75% compared to 25% indicates that there is more value in 75%. Not to put anything down, it's just like certain roles that we have to understand. 25% is with the man. But the first work involves that 25% of the man, because the man, his job is to maintain and protect the 75%. Make sense? I hope I'm not losing you now. So when you teach a man, you teach an individual, which is good. But when you teach a woman, you teach a nation, because everything comes through her. She's the first nurse. She's the first teacher. She's the mother. So whatever was in the woman's head, that's what's going to be most effectively translated to the children. And this is a universal principle that is known in military conquest. Don't you know that's why when people, particularly the European, whenever they would go conquer the darker people, they would kill the man first and then take the woman. Brainwash or teach the woman so that she can bring forth the ideals of the conqueror. Almost like how you break a horse. When people would break a horse, you can't just get a horse that was in the wild and ride it and think you're going to, hell no, it don't work like that. That horse will buck, kick, and likely kill you. Yeah. However, when they get horses and they break horses in, they'll get the woman horse, the female horse, the mare, and break her and teach the female how to eat out of the person's hand. And if the mother horse is used to eating out of your hand, see, then it's going to be a sign for the children horse, the baby horses, to do the same. Now through the woman, the female, you have literally domesticated a world of horses. See, that's a science to this thing. But the male has to be broken first. You kill the male so that you can spare the female. So when you teach a woman, you teach a nation. But you have to kind of start with this man. Let us make man. Because once we make a man and get him in the right position, now he can protect the more valuable asset of the nation. So the Honorable Minister Farrakhan said it like this. He said in warfare, remember warfare, right? Military. In warfare, the man is the first wall of defense and protection of the female of his species. That's key. Anytime somebody knocks down the wall, and as the saying goes, then to the victor go the spoils. So the man's job as the father and husband, he is the first line of defense. He is the guard and guardian of whatever the valuable possession is, whatever the prize is. If it's jewelry, brothers, if I could put it in sports terms, it's like in football. You got your linemen on the line, right? The linemen are super important, aren't they? Imagine if you playing football and you don't have a lineman. What if your line, your nose guard, your tackle, and your center, what if they all injured? So now the defense can easily come through. They can sack the quarterback and get the ball, which is the prize, and take it to their end zone. Sisters, y'all in the football too a little bit, right? Y'all get the point a little bit? Okay, I got to use another example because, got to deal with my sisters, okay? Imagine, y'all like jewelry, right? Yeah, brother. Imagine diamonds and gold and gems, a whole jewelry store or a set of jewelry. You have to have some guards out front, some type of security system. But what happens if the security system is broken down? If the security system is destroyed, now there's a free fall of the jewelry. Now the valuable prize goes to the robber, to the enemy, because the security, the first wall of defense, has been destroyed. Y'all see how this military thing works? And this has always been the tactic throughout history of how you destroy the people. How our people have been destroyed here in America, in Africa, and all over the world. It's the same tactics throughout history. But if we don't know the lessons of history or prophecy, then we'll continue to fall victim to it. I'm talking about the threat of black fatherhood, y'all.
Talk about it.
So when we're talking about restoring black families, we're talking about warfare. And warfare, I don't care who you are, it's a bit uncomfortable to say the least. It's uncomfortable for the sisters. And even though men are natural warriors,
it's still uncomfortable because we don't want to have to go to war. Everybody wants order and comfort, but we have to understand that our lives, our family structure, our people as a unit, we are in warfare, and sadly, we don't even know who the enemy is. Hell, part of the first thing you need to know in warfare is, okay, who's the opposition? Who's the enemy? Unfortunately, we've been so conditioned, as beautiful and as blessed as we are, as a people, we don't even know who specifically our enemies are. Because we think the enemy is the brother or the sister who took our lunch money or stole our car. And even though that's a type of enemy, that's not the enemy. See, the enemy is often unseen because the enemy works through systems. The enemy does not work as an individual. This is why when God describes Satan, he describes him as the synagogue of Satan, a system, a collective unit. And you don't fight systems the way you fight individuals. Warfare talk, y'all. Hell, even look at something like MLG and W. That's a system. It's not an individual. And so when they hike up your prices, your electric bill, your gas bill, price gouging and all of that, you mad as hell. But do you fight MLG and W system the way you would fight an individual? What you gonna do? Go punch the building? What's up, man? What's up, man? Are you gonna get anything done like that? Because you don't fight systems the way you fight individuals. So restoring black families is warfare. Restoring black motherhood and fatherhood is warfare. And this is why our women were referred to as the booty. If you didn't know, the actual definition of booty refers to valuable or stolen goods, the spoils of war, especially those seized in war. After you've conquered a people and you take their prize, that prize is called the booty. So when pirates would raid and conquer ships and take the jewelry and the gems, those gems were called the booty. Booty is what you take after you have conquered a people. When the white man conquered the black man and destroyed the black man, he took you as his booty. So the sign of a conquered people, the sign of a conquered woman is that she has nothing to show but her booty. Not her intelligence, not her brilliance, not her gifts, not her talents, just, excuse my expression, her ass. So you know how growing up, auntie and them would say, oh, she ain't doing nothing but showing her ass. See, that's the sign of a conquered woman. And the sign of a conquered man is that he can't protect his woman. So she becomes the booty of the white man. So restoring the black family is warfare. And this is given to us all throughout the scriptures. But unfortunately, preachers don't know how to preach it like this. And this is why I thank Allah for the most honorable Elijah Muhammad and the honorable Minister Farrakhan. Oh, yes. Because these men have been blessed by God to make the scriptures most relevant for you and me in this day and time and our struggle. So in the scriptures, and by the way, if you don't know, and you'll learn this the more you keep coming to the nation, most of what you read in the scriptures, most of it didn't happen back then. Most of it is prophecy. It's stories, but in those stories are signs of what's to come. The stories are written in the language and uses points and references from way back then, but it's talking about conditions that we are experiencing today. So in this particular passage, we see where Pharaoh who is a slave master. Pharaoh, the oppressor. Pharaoh is giving instructions of how to kill the male children, but spare the females. Because remember, this is a universal principle. Remember what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said. You teach a man, you teach what? An individual. You teach a woman, you teach what? Because a nation and worlds come through her. You have the seed, you embody the seed, but when you give that one seed to her, she produces life. You see how nature works? So it's like that in the spiritual, social, political, economic, all, it's the same principle throughout. He carries and embodies the seed, the idea, and the vision of God. But unless it comes through you, coming through you is what brings the world in. So this is a universal principle that all of our enemies have known for thousands of years. We just the ones that don't get it. So even Pharaoh, and this is giving us an image of the enemy of God today, how they think and how they act. And all of the policies today bear witness to this. Pharaoh gave orders even to the Hebrew women. Now the Hebrew women were slaves, but Pharaoh was giving orders to the slave women as to what to do when the Hebrew boys and girls were born. And his instructions go as follows. He says, when you help the Hebrew women give birth, he said, watch them as they deliver. So you mean they got folks watching you, watching the children that you bringing in? Mm-hmm. He said, if it's a son, if it's a boy, kill him. But if it's a daughter, let her live. But the midwives, but check this out. Now, these are the slave women, the Hebrew women. But the midwives feared God. They didn't listen to Pharaoh. They probably act like they did. Yes, sir, Mr. Pharaoh, I'm going to follow your instructions. But when they went to deliver the children, they feared God and didn't do what the king of Egypt told them. Instead, they let the boys live. Don't that sound like the black woman? Yeah. See? Pharaoh today, the oppressor today, has instructions for you. Look, hate your man. He ain't no damn good. Look at him all locked up. Look at him all in the street. He ain't no good for you. You need a white man like me. You know, come on over to the other side. Got you lost all confidence in your man. Because in truth, he has been destroyed. But see, the woman of God, despite Pharaoh's instructions, she said, no, I'm going to let him live because I see something in him. And you know what? As the story goes, when they let the boys live, one of those boys became the deliverer who would deliver all of the people. Because through the womb of you will bring forth the saviors and deliverers for our people, man. Same thing with Herod. You read about it, you know, in the church. King Herod, they knew it was time for the Messiah to arise. And see, they not spooky. He ain't gonna come from out of the sky no damn where. They understand that this Messiah, this man-child, this boy-child is going to come through your womb. So they watching. Why the hell you think they're poisoning the hell out of us with the foods we eat, with the lifestyles? You getting drunk, you know, but needless to say, they're watching you. It's the same principle because they know the deliverer is going to come through you. But it's going to be one of these boys, one of these boy childs, a man. There's going to be a man to till the ground. Make sense? So throughout history, if you notice what they've done, when they would go throughout Africa, as the European colonized Africa, what did he do? He killed the male, the first wall of defense. But it's only until he kills the male and humiliates the male. How do you think the woman feels when she sees her man beheaded? See? So it's not just killing the male, you have to humiliate him. That's that buck breaking process that's still going on. You have to humiliate this black man so you can lose all confidence. Yes, the black man, generally speaking, might be in a messed up condition. Yes, we might not be in our right mind, but again, you are those Hebrew women that said, I'm going to fear God. I'm not going to follow Pharaoh's instructions. Yeah, he might have to get his stuff together, but I know it's something about him. So Pharaoh has his own Planned Parenthood. Y'all catch that one? Pharaoh, the oppressor, the slave master, has always had a Planned Parenthood. And his Planned Parenthood follows Satan's agenda, not God's. I showed you the order of God with family, right? Satan is just the opposite. And look, we got to confuse you with this. So look at all the slave breeding that would take place. Don't you know they had breeding farms for slaves? Yeah, you had them here in Memphis, right down the street. We'll go into that another time. But with this slave breeding, remember, slaves were the properties of the white man. So even if a black man, as a slave, quote unquote, had a wife, imagine having a wife, but your wife is the property of the white man. So he can go into her whenever he wants, and you can't do a damn thing about it. Hell, he can't be a man like that. So he's broken. It's a process that deliberately was intended to break us and keep us broken. Because it is in his nature, even the craziest dude, it's in his nature to protect his woman. So when you see this man going into your wife, see, brothers, we can't even stomach that. But see, that's part of the buck breaking process. And another part of the buck breaking process is to destroy fatherhood by humiliating, not only killing and destroying the black man in front of the black woman, but humiliating him in the process to the point where you see what happened to him and you lose all confidence. You see? And the ones that they would try to buck break the most would be the ones who were most rebellious. The ones who would stand up, try to fight back. See, those are the ones that the enemy wants to make an example of. Those are the ones he hates most. So black fatherhood is a threat. Some of you may remember that quote that we often use from 1832 by Senator Henry Berry in the Virginia House of Delegates, when he was talking about, this is 1832, slavery still going on. And this white senator in Congress basically was sharing with his colleagues that we have to do everything to keep these black folks, these slaves, from ever coming into the light. And so they said they would block every avenue of light from entering the slave's mind. And then they gave provisions to let us know how effective their plans would be. They were talking about what they would do and carry on well into the future. Today, they said basically the sign that you would know that these people are broken is that they would be in a beast-like state. And as long as they would be all savage and in a beast-like state, we as white folks would be safe. So white supremacy and the white power structure is safeguarded by our savagery. As long as we're killing one another, he benefits. As long as we never unite, he benefits. As long as men hate women and our women hate our men, they benefit, not us. So as long as we're savage, and you know what? It matters not how much money you have either. Hell, this day and time, they'll pay you $1 million+ to act a fool. Because you're continuing the beast-like state that protects and safeguards their power structure. Man, I'm telling y'all how this thing works, y'all. I'm talking about the threat of black fatherhood, if y'all still with me now. But you know what? Even with what we went through during slavery, which was never witnessed like anything in human history. See, our slavery, the transatlantic slave trade, it cannot compare to anybody else's suffering. Now, there's other people that have been enslaved. There are other people who have suffered tremendously, but nothing compares to what happened to you and my forefathers, who lost everything and were completely dehumanized. But even when we were just coming up out of slavery, the Honorable Minister Farrakhan says that even coming up out of slavery, we as a people had more of a stable family life than we do today. Now, this is right after slavery, because even just after slavery, though we were deprived of everything, we still had some semblance of who we were. We had some semblance of family structure. We had some semblance of who the enemy is. And because we had some semblance of that, we knew how to do some basic stuff. We knew how to become a basic father. We knew how to do be a basic wife, at least. So grandmama, great-grandmama them, they knew how to do something with nothing. They had what they call that mother wit. Fathers had some common sense, probably couldn't even read or write, but they sure knew how to provide for their family. They can bring some peanuts or something, you see? And hell, they had 12, 13 children and was able to make something happen. So even out of slavery, we had some idea. But see, the slave codes were not meant to just take place during slavery. Those codes of keeping us in a beast-like state were meant to be perpetual, continuous. So even after slavery, when black folks started to come together, started having, our family structure reuniting, we even had over 60 black towns that we had set up throughout this country. You probably just heard of one or two of them, Rosewood and Tulsa, Black Wall Street, the ones that they burnt down. And the reason you know about those is because they want to make an example that if you ever try to get in your right mind again, nigga, we'll do this to you. See? But we had some semblance, some similitude of who we were. And understanding that the enemy continued to make his moves to destroy us. So this is when all these different types of social engineering moves were made and are still being made to disrupt the black family and keep us in disarray and disorder. Even things like the welfare system. Welfare is supposed to help a people, right? Now, theoretically, the welfare system is supposed to help a people, so they can kind of get back on their feet and then do something for themselves. But the way that the welfare system has worked is such that, and you all know this, where if you're going to benefit from our welfare system, women, you got children, you can't have a man in the home. Well, hell, how am I going to get up if we can't do this as a family? No. Get rid of him. I'm going to help you. I'm going to kill the male. See? Warfare. So it has these beautiful names. Oh, yes, this is welfare. We're trying to keep the American public and help them out. And it's the same thing. The whole eugenics movement, which is Planned Parenthood. Hell, you should ask yourself, who the hell planned it? So they're going to plan your future, your family. Your enemy's going to plan for you. Yeah. So the role reversal is deliberate and by design. And it's happening in every aspect, not just political laws and policies, but it happens through education. It happens through chemical engineering, social engineering, the foods that we eat, the diets that we have, even in the drugs, the illicit drugs that we use, have adverse effects that affect us hormonally in ways that have been proven to effeminize the man and emasculate the black woman. Our brother has done tremendous research, brother Dr. Wesley Muhammad. If you get his book, The Assault on Black Males and Black Manhood, oh, he illustrates that thing to a T. But all of these, the miseducation, the prison to pipeline system, you know, this is by design, y'all. And I used to hear this all the time. Now, you all know I'm an educator, right? I teach in the public school system. And I used to hear this all the time, and I still hear it. You ever hear people say, man, our children in the schools, man, they need some black men in the schools, right? They need black men teachers and stuff like that. And it's true, you definitely need some black male role models and teachers and educators and whatnot. And even though that's something that's wanted by you and us for our children, what the system wants is not real black men. They want black men faces and figureheads in there, but they don't want strong black men who really going to teach our children what's right. I know this for a fact. I'm telling you from the outside and from the inside. So even though they talk that stuff, oh, yes, we certainly want positive black males. When they say positive black males, they want some zesty dudes. I say something wrong, bro, Kareem? They want you a little saucy, you know. See, the adverb, I'm just being real, y'all. It's real talk now. So even on the educational front, there's an intense miseducation because it has been deliberate for this black man to be destroyed. And I think I'm gonna get out on time today, y'all. This is a quote from Mark Twain. Now, I'm an English teacher. Let me incorporate some of our authors. Y'all heard of Mark Twain, right? Huckleberry Finn, Tom Sawyer, all that stuff we were made to read. Now, Mark Twain lived during the days of slavery and afterwards. And I don't have time to go over the whole scenario, but he was acknowledging the fact that the black man had been broken. This was in 1885 in a letter that he was writing to the law school dean. I think it was at Yale Law School at the time. And they was talking about black folks, the black man in particular. And Mark Twain acknowledged and admitted, he said, we have ground the manhood out of them, talking about black men. And the shame is ours, not theirs, and we should pay for it. Wow. See, white folk know, yeah, we done did a job on these niggers. And we know especially that what we've done to the black man. Now, you can find that quote in Brother Dimitri's book, too. I listed the citation there, but Brother Dimitri has a book, Manhood Principles, that I think you ought to get whenever you have the chance on researchminister.com. But Mark Twain, now, you never heard this part of Mark Twain, right? You heard of Huckleberry Finn and the fictional stuff. But when Mark Twain is writing letters to his colleagues, he's letting them know, look, we done did a job on these niggers. These black man, you ain't got to worry about him. We done grounded him, grounded his manhood, took his manhood. So real black manhood and fatherhood, as I've stated, is really a threat to the white power structure. Whether you look at it in the military sense, the social sense, the biblical, prophetic sense. There's a book that most of you probably have not read. Not that you're not smart, but certain books are bestsellers, but they're not bestsellers in the black community. There are certain books that white folks write that are intended for other white folks, particularly white folks in power. Now, some of you have heard of Pat Buchanan. Y'all heard of Pat Buchanan? Some of the old heads have. Pat Buchanan, he actually ran for president before. He's been an advisor, a presidential advisor to various presidents. He's a conservative. He used to even have his own talk show on one of those channels. But anyway, Pat Buchanan wrote a book around year 2000 called The Death of the West. And basically in this book, he is sounding an alarm to his white colleagues, letting him know that, look, we as white people are in danger because darker populations all over the earth, including America, are rising. And if they keep rising the way that they do, we as white folks, our power structure is threatened. So we have to do something about it. Yeah. So that's why you have books like this, Death of the West. And by the way, like I said, it's a bestsellers list. Been on the bestsellers list since like 2000. We ain't never heard of it. But we know how many Steph Curry scored the other night though, right? See where our mind is at, see? But in this book, Pat Buchanan poses a question, a rhetorical question that he provides the answer to based on age-old practices and policies. That question he poses in his book is, how does one sever a people's roots? How do you cut off a people from their root? In other words, how do you destroy a people? See? I'm an English teacher, so I have to translate white folks' language to real language, okay? How does one sever a people's roots? In other words, how are you going to get rid of these people? Then he answers the question. He says, destroy its memory. See? If you can make sure these people don't know who they are, where they come from, destroy their memory so they don't even remember who they are and where they came from. He says, deny a people the knowledge of who they are and where they came from. See, that's the basis. That's the age-old tactic. That ain't nothing new. But again, he's letting his colleagues know. He's letting white folks know we got to do something. Then later on, he gets down. He's given a whole lot of other recommendations as to how you destroy based on history. Not based on what I think, not based on theories, but based on historical practices. Then he gets down and he says, you have to dishonor and disgrace a nation's heroes. Once you do that, and then you can demoralize its people. See, if you can take its leaders, its heroes, its men, its fathers, those father figures, if you can demoralize them. You know what demoralize means? Where you give them no value. Right. So Dr. King is a great man, but he may have had some indiscretions. So what you want to do, you highlight the indiscretions so people can throw away the entire man and all the good that he did. Demoralize his heroes. It's so threatening to them, listen, that even the image of a strong black father is threatened. Just the image. Because the image of strong black fathers who bring order to their family, who bring protection to their family, their children, their girls, their wives, that is a direct threat to the world of white supremacy. So you'll notice how black fathers have been demonized. Look how they did Joe Jackson. Now, Joe Jackson, he made his whole damn family successful. He saw something in his children that nobody ever would have saw. But through discipline, he had them in order. And he gave the world the Jackson 5. He gave the world the king of pop, known and respected all over the world. But you wouldn't have none of that if you didn't have a strong black father like a Joe Jackson. But how did they portray him? He gave his children whoopings. Man, who the hell? See, discipline. You want to discipline your child? White folks say you can't do that. Now, don't get me wrong. We shouldn't abuse our children and take our anger out on them. That's not what we believe in. But hell, every mother and father we got some whoopings now. Shoot. And we ain't turned out too bad, did we? Look how they did Richard Williams. Now, there's a movie about him that Will Smith recently played. I guess Will Smith got a little carried away with the Richard Williams. Yeah. But Richard Williams was a protector of his daughters. Not only a protector, but he was a provider. He saw something in his girls, and he wanted them to nurture their talent and develop their talent. And in order for them to do that, you had to protect them. Can't have no outside forces coming around your girls and children. But he was demonized for that. Because when they were young, they couldn't get to them girls like they wanted to because they had that father around. Y'all ever see that interview? And I think Venus was probably about 14 years old. She was being interviewed by some white man on TV. And this white man was doing the interview. Remember, the girl just when she was about 14 or so. And he was asking her something, and in his questions, you know, you got to watch white folks. They're real slick. The question was doing something to try to make her question her own confidence. What makes you think you can actually do this? And blah, 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 blah. You're just young. You can't do this. And Richard Williams came from the background and said, got on that white boy and said, look, this is a damn 14-year-old black girl. Don't you destroy her confidence. Don't you ever ask no damn questions. You see? That's what a father does, man. See? A father does not only protect the physical being of his family and children, wife, sons, and girls, but he protects the confidence. He protects the spirit. Because this world is set up to break your spirit, man. So we have to have protection that's able to put like a shield around us so that we can grow properly. Make sense? But see, when there's no man to till the land, then stuff just get out of order. Look how they did, what's my man, Mr. Ball, LeVar Ball. Now, he was a confident black man. Man got 3 sons. All his sons can hoop. They're talented. And he's telling you, yeah, my son going to do this. He's going to make it to the NBA. My son this and that. He's going to go to the Lakers. He's going to be drafted. Don't you think your father is getting in the way of your success? And, man, you can't. So I'm not supposed to be confident. You want me to go stay in my place, you see? Go sit down somewhere and be the type of father you want me to be. You want me to be that zesty dude that you can control my household. Hell no. See, it's warfare. And sometimes, I don't know, maybe from a sister's side, you may not always get it because you may not always understand his nature. His nature is a warrior. His nature, I don't care how crazy he may have become, despite whatever condition he's in, his nature requires that he has order to his environment. That's real. Because he is really not man, he is actually God. So when the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who is making a man, he didn't make us just so that we can become men. That's just the first part. But we don't stop there. Yes, we become good men, good fathers, good brothers, good husbands. No, you become God. Yes, sir. See, some of you think that's sacrilegious. Hell no. God said, let us make man in our image and likeness. So we don't want to just be men, and that's good. We want to start there because we become beasts. So yeah, the first step is becoming real good men again. Don't get me wrong, but we ain't stopping there. What the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Farrakhan is making of us, we aiming for godhood. So I hear us say good things, and it's good. You hear, what's up, king? Way better than saying, what's up, nigga? But you know what? That's good, but that still ain't good enough for us. We seeking godhood. Hope I'm not getting ahead of you. So if these white folks and their power structure is threatened by black fathers and even just the image of black fathers, let me remind you about the FBI's counterintelligence program to show you their hatred not only of black fathers, but hell, these folk, they hate the expected black Messiah that they know is to arise from you. So if these folk, your government, the FBI, if they hate and work to destroy the Messiah, what the hell? And black fathers don't have no damn chance, right? And since they have documented their intention to prevent the rise of a Messiah, this is from the FBI files, y'all. Just in case you don't know, now my Nation of Islam people who are here, we are more than enlightened on this. But for those who may not be as familiar with this history, the FBI, the American government, has always had plans, and much of this is documented, to destroy black people. It's just plain and simple. And in their memos, in their counterintelligence program, they stated that they are going to prevent the rise of a Messiah that they expect to come and arise from you. What would this Messiah do? Someone who could unify and electrify the black militant, black nationalist movement. So, if this Messiah, who they're expecting to be a man, by the way, they're not expecting some spook out of space. They're not expecting some spirit to come up. Hell no, they're expecting a live human being, a man, because that's what the prophecies foretell. But if your government hates the Messiah and works to prevent him from arising, see, don't that sound just like Pharaoh killed the male, spare the female, because they wanted to prevent the deliverer and the savior from arising? It's the same thing documented. You're living it. So since they hate black fatherhood and black manhood so much, the most hated, who you think would be the most hated? The most hated would be those who are like that Messiah, who most effectively unify and electrify the black nationalist movement. Now I want you to tell me, based on facts, what group, what men has been more effective at unifying black people, electrifying not just any black people, but particularly the black militant nationalist segment of black America? Who's done that more so than the most honorable Elijah Muhammad and the honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan? See, that's just a fact. That's not an opinion. That's a fact based on both qualitative data, remember that, and quantitative data. You look at the Million Man March, hell, the largest, most peaceful demonstration of black unity in the history of the world. All these black men and not one damn fight? What? Come on now. In fact, you don't have a group today who has withstood more government scrutiny and attacks and plots than the Nation of Islam. Since we've been here in the 1930s, we've always been under government surveillance, always withstood government plots, and we still keep coming out on top. It must be a God with us somewhere. It has to be. All praise is due to Allah. And the more you keep coming, you're going to learn about this real God that's backing the Nation of Islam. So here's the result of this fatherlessness. The Bible describes it like this. It says in the book of Isaiah, as for my people now, not all people. This is God's people. As for my people, children are now their oppressors, and women rule over them. O my people, they which lead thee cause thee to err and destroy the way of thy path. This is a heavy scripture right here, y'all. I don't know if y'all know it, but apparently God and the man of God is saddened because the structure and divine order of God has been disrupted. Remember the order of God in family? Something got into it. Somehow they got confused. They got twisted. They got conditioned. They got enslaved. They got thrown off. And now, here's the condition. Now children are their oppressors. Damn. Hold up, but based on the order of God, the women and the mothers are supposed to be over the children. And the man and the husband supposed to be over the women. So everybody done fell off their post, right? And now things have been flipped around. Children have now become their oppressors, and women rule over them. Uh-oh. Now God is showing you this picture, but he's not necessarily pleased about the way things have become. And it's unfortunate because women and men have had to take on different roles. That's the result of social engineering. Your women don't necessarily want to have to work a damn 9 to 5 to have to do this. She could be doing so much, she's so brilliant, she could be doing so much other stuff with her time. But hell, if the man ain't there, if the man is broken, the man can't provide as he should. Now, she has to take on these other roles that take her away from these other functions that she could be doing, and therefore the house falls. The family falls because there was no man to till the ground. Are we making sense to you, brothers and sisters? Oh, my people, they which lead thee. See, the leaders, those who have captured you and rule over you, they which lead thee, they cause thee to err. See, God knows where it's coming from. We didn't get like this on our own. We didn't choose to be less of a man or less of a woman. We didn't choose not to be the fathers and mothers and families that we know we ought to become. But no, those that lead you, those that rule over you, God knows where the real responsibility and blame that goes now. They've caused you to err. They are the ones that put you in this vicious cycle and destroy the way of thy path. So this is warfare, y'all. Even admitted by former President Lyndon B. Johnson. He was giving a commencement address at the black institution, Howard University, in 1965. And even he had to admit what's happened to black folks, just like Mark Twain. Lyndon B. Johnson said, "For this, most of all, white America must accept responsibility." He said, "It flows from centuries of oppression and persecution of the Negro man." They know exactly what to do. Kill the male. It flows from the long years of degradation and discrimination. Remember, demoralize its heroes, and you can destroy his people, which have attacked his dignity and assaulted his ability to produce for his family. Yeah, or as Mark Twain said, well, we've grounded the manhood. Yeah, we know what we've done. That's systematic. So now, with this condition, this results of fatherlessness, now with the black man broken, our women are reminiscent. You are kind of like, I'm generalizing, the black woman is kind of like that widow of Zephyrah. Y'all remember that story in the Bible about Elijah and the widow's son? Yes, sir. I'm going to run through it real quick and just see the parallels, because it's kind of like showing the plight of the black woman who has lost her man. Now, this scenario took place when Elijah, the prophet, remember, these are Bible stories that are really prophecies. A lot of this stuff didn't actually happen then, but it's giving you a picture of what you can expect. So this Elijah, God's messenger, God's prophet, during a time of drought and famine, interesting, huh? God now directs Elijah to go to this town of Zephyrah. And God directs Elijah to go and get water and food from this widow, a poor widow at that. Now, you would think that, okay, God, it would make sense to tell Elijah, your servant, to go to somebody that got some money to give him some food and stuff like that, right? But God directs him, a lot of principles and lessons in this, y'all. God directs Elijah during a time of drought and famine to go to a poor woman who is a widow with a son. A widow, meaning her husband's been destroyed or dead. Kind of sound like the black woman's plight. Even when black men are there, it's almost like we've been destroyed and dead. You in a relationship, you're married, but because of what has happened to us, you like a widow, and you got children. But God sends Elijah to you. This woman, a poor woman at that. And this woman was so poor, as the story goes, that she was about to die. So she got, just as she took her last, she got a little meal, a little flour, and some oil. And she was at a point where she was just going to make one last little piece of bread and that oil, feed it to her and her son, and just die. That shows the sense of hopelessness. That shows how messed up and broken the family has become, especially when the man has been taken out of the picture. So now the woman is just hopeless. Hell, I'm just going to eat this last meal and die. Don't that kind of seem like how some black women have become, who have given up? Hell, I ain't doing nothing. Shit. Let me just drink. I'm a pot. I'm going to do my thing. Ain't nothing going for me no damn way. See, it's hopelessness. But then this Elijah comes to her and meets her and says, oh, wait. You know that little meal that you're trying to make? Your last meal? The only thing you got before you die? God instructed me to tell you to give that to me. What? Imagine how insensitive that sounds. Woman already poor. Woman already dying. And then this man who's supposed to be the man of God saying, hold up, sis. No, this may sound crazy, but if you give that to me, and if you feed me, I promise you that God will bless you and you won't be hungry no more. Now, naturally, you can best believe the woman was like, oh, come on now. I done seen your type before. I done been through this before. I know how y'all do. But see, I'm certain that she had seen many men. I'm certain you've probably been through that with many men, but they not Elijah. See, this is a different one right here. This is one that's actually sent by God. And so what you're used to is men and males, but you've never seen the man of God before, so you don't even know what it looks like. You don't even know what it sounds like. This is why it's easy to reject when God's message comes to us, because we have our crazy ideas as to what we think God's message and messenger is supposed to look like. But needless to say, the woman, something about her, where she must have been kind of convinced, okay, even at her lowest, I'm going to go and get this to you. Here, I ain't got nothing to lose no damn way. I might as well just die, you know. And lo and behold, she gave it to Elijah, and lo and behold, she was blessed. And she had more food, more meals, and whatnot. So now that gave a little confidence to her. Like, what? Damn, okay. See, it's always some little things that this black man does that kind of boost your confidence just when you're about to give up on him. He'll do something. He'll do something that kind of reminds you, damn, the black man is God, ain't he? Just when you were super mad at him, God will bless him to do something that will give you some confidence in you. Now, when that happened and the woman did receive meals and whatnot, she didn't go hungry anymore. That boosted her confidence, but she still was not fully convinced. Because after that, more trials came. See? That was just enough to kind of get her, all right, I'm good. But then, her son, the boy, got sick and died. Now, what did that do to her confidence? See, just when the black man does something, you see something like the Million Man March, all these black men come together and be like, okay, black man, he can do something. But then what happened? You got some baby daddy issues. Something else happened. You get divorced. See, now something go wrong again. Now your confidence lost again. So the boy died, her only son. Man already dead, her husband. Now the boy, What kind of God is this you got, Elijah? How your God gonna let my son die? See? God, what's up with you? Why ain't no good black men around? Why I feel like I gotta go across to the other side and find me some damn white boy or something? God, why ain't these black men no good? See? The widow of Zephyrah. Start to lose confidence. Then your boys died. Damn, these young boys here, the grown men ain't jack. And now these little boys ain't nothing. They locked up getting killed. My boys died. So she kind of had some feelings toward Elijah's God. But Elijah came back, said, hold. Give me the boy. He dead now. Give me the boy. And Elijah took him up to his little room, to a private quarters. Must have been FOI class, I don't know. This Elijah, he takes the boy up into the room where nobody else was. And Elijah, actually, you know what he started doing? He started praying. Couldn't do nothing else. Like, look, I can't do nothing to myself. He started praying. He was praying hard. And after he prayed the first time, the boy was still dead. So not only is the woman messed up, hell, even the messenger of God is like, damn. He prayed again, fervent prayers. Nothing happened. Who knows? Maybe Elijah even starting to question. Okay, God. Now look, the so-called American Negro man, he really dead. I don't know if I can do anything about this. But then he prayed one more time. Elijah prayed to his true and living God, y'all. But it wasn't until after the third time, that life came back into the boy. And it was then that Elijah took the boy downstairs and his wife, or his mother, saw him. And then is when she knew it. Elijah's God must be the true and living God, huh? All praises due to Allah. The thing is, it took all that though. It wasn't no easy, lovey-dovey type of path. It involved death. It involved hunger. It involved torture. It involved sacrifice. It involved famine and drought. It involved doubt and disbelief. So when it comes to raising this black man back to his prominent position, not just as good man, not just as king, but to be godly, it's going to take some struggle. And it's going to take you to believe in him and the God of him. And one of the points that I get out of this is that God's way through Elijah is what works. See, God's solution comes through this Elijah, and don't you know? See, we understand prophecy and fulfillment. This Elijah figure is one of the only figures expected to come with a definitive name. Other people have names that's expected to come, but they're more like titles, Messiah, even Emmanuel and stuff like that. These are names, but they're more like titles that give indication as to the function of that one that's to come. But it is only through the definitive name of Elijah that God promises that he's going to restore things and restore families. So that magnificent prophecy that closes out the Old Testament in the book of Malachi, God says, behold, I will send you Elijah, the prophet, before the coming of the great and dreadful day of the Lord. But what's Elijah going to do? He will turn the hearts of the fathers to the children and the hearts of the children to their fathers, lest I, God, come and strike the earth with a curse. See, it's almost like we only talk about how great we once were. See, we were kings in Africa and we built the pyramids and all this type of stuff. See, we talk about the greatness of our fathers. We talk about the greatness of those now lost civilizations that we built several thousands, even millions of years ago. But see, we only talk it. And we wonder, how can we get back to that of our fathers? How can we get back to our right mind? And God lets you know that he's going to get us back there, but he's going to use this figure, this person with the definitive name of Elijah, who will serve as the axis by which he can turn the hearts of the fathers that built civilization, that mindset, that wisdom, that ancient way when we were in our right mind of our fathers. Elijah will be the one to take the hearts of the fathers and bring them back to the children and restore all things. This is one of the most important prophecies in your Bible because it lets us know the presence of God and the messianic age. This Elijah signals the messianic age, y'all. Am I getting too over your head with this theological talk? I'm about to close out. So you should expect Elijah. Now, we in the Nation of Islam, we are very more than convinced who that Elijah is. And it's not just because he has the name Elijah, because there are several with that name. It is because he serves the function of Elijah. I'm talking about the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, brothers and sisters. What has Elijah Muhammad done that no other person has done? Elijah makes men and women. Elijah makes men into gods. Elijah makes women into gods. So this is a different kind of fella right here. Even our worst critics, and by the way, the Nation of Islam has the most staunchest critics. Our critics and our enemies are those in power, who run media, who run government, who run banking. They hate us. But even our staunchest critics all have to bear witness. They'll say all kind of manner of things about us. But you know what they all say? Well, I don't know what it is about that Elijah Muhammad and that Louis Farrakhan, but they do something with these black men and women. They try to say if they put some magic on them or something. Because even white folks know with what they've done to us, especially how they've destroyed black men, it only takes a miracle to raise that black man, and Elijah is that one. Y'all better recognize. So back in 1963, these are some non-Muslims who were writing. These are people not in the nation. They were saying how Mr. Muhammad's worst critics have to admit the brothers in the FOI are the most courteous, mannerly, neat, clean, intelligent, industrious, as well as militant workers that they have ever met. They ain't nothing like the FOI. So, come on, y'all. I'm about to close out. But see, what we look at it, oh, okay, it's just a good man doing some good work to help black people, help black men. No, it's deeper than that, y'all. This is straight of God. This is straight fulfillment of prophecy in work right before your eyes. And all of us are playing a part in it, whether you know it or not. So with something like the Million Man March, some may look at it as just a good event in human history. But the enemy and those who know, the wise, they know exactly what they were looking at. When these over 1 million black men, different backgrounds, different gang affiliations, Blood, Crip, GD, VL, all of that, different religious denominations, Church of Christ, Church of God in Christ, Muslims, Christians, Sunni Muslims, this kind of Christian, I mean, all different political, Democrats, Black Republican, independent, atheists, gay, straight. You had all kind of black men there, over 1 million black men in what became the largest, most peaceful demonstration of black unity in the history of the world. Not one fight, not one argument at the nation's capital. What? That is a miracle. I don't care how you put it. It was so powerful that these unarmed black men, led by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, literally ran the president out of town. President Clinton was the president. Congress had to shut down because all these black men emerged on the nation's capital without white folks' approval. See, all those other marches you used to, even that 1963 with the I Have a Dream, see, white folks' money, white folks funded it, white folks organized it. But this was the only one in our history where we funded it, we organized it. It wasn't brought to you by Budweiser, the king of beers. It wasn't brought to you and sponsored by McDonald's. Hell no, it was sponsored by poor black men, who, like the widow, gathered their resources for Elijah. They didn't have much, but they showed a display of the largest, most peaceful display, a miracle. And don't you know, ain't nothing been like it in history, and it's not written in your history books. Now, I'm an educator. I look at the history books, and they'll go to history, and they'll bring it all the way up to 2010, 2015. You think they mentioned anything about this? Why? Because even the image of strong black men is threatening to their world. But they know what they're looking at, because those in power know that's not the work of just some man, Farrakhan. That's the work of the Messiah based on all of the prophecies. You better believe that. And it's not even a doubt in their mind. That's the trip part about it. They know this thing. This is why they oppose the Nation of Islam more than any of your organizations, any of your churches and things like that. And the miracle is that the nation is still here and thriving and standing and being successful. What? What a blessing. So I'm going to end right here. Told you I was going to get out on time. Well, y'all give me a hand because I'm closing out on time. What's Sister Edna at? What's Sister Edna at so I can be like, man. I want to close with this, a reminder, going back to the beginning, to the book of Genesis, wherein God says, let us make man in our image and after our likeness. I think that's an instruction that all of us should play a part in, because as we restore our families, as we restore the order and restore our community and build God's nation and God's world, we have to start with the man. He's not the most important, but it's just the order that you start with. You start making a man so this man can build a world for you and maintain you so that you can bring in that world, so that it can come through you. So will you follow what God did and let us all make man? Will you help Brother Farrakhan and help Elijah to make a man? And this man won't just be a good man. This man will be a God. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for your time. May Allah bless you. Assalamu alaikum. We appreciate you, Brother Rodney. Okay.